Hello viewers, welcome to my channel Science and Technology. In today's show, Future Friday, we're going to talk about fusion energy 2024 news or updates, so to say. So let's dive deep into it. So the biggest news that happened is from ITER, ITER or International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor. Now this puppy is in France and it has been physically being built from 2007. Now the actual foundation has been laid decades earlier. The projects were like getting up, getting down, slowing down, Soviet Union falling apart. All of those things happened. But that was the foundation was always there. The physical foundation was started in 2006 where they're like, okay, we're going to build it. In 2007, the foundation was done. So that is 16 years old. Now you have to understand, this puppy is a multinational collaborative project, meaning every Tom, Dick and Harry is paying money into it. Yes, big one, like China, like India, like Russia, like Europe, like basically Korea, yes, Japan, everybody is pouring money into it. So it's a multinational collaborative project and the budget is huge. As in, when it started in 2006, the budget was granted around 5 billion euro. That's bigger than dollars. That's huge. And now here's the problematic part. The finish line is keep moving. So they're not saying we are delayed. They're always like, oh, no, finish line has been moved. So this is a very nice graph. And again, it only goes to 2022. I'll talk about 2023. It's like 2006, the idea was that we're going to have this puppy ready in 10 years, 2016. So if you're like, okay, 11, 12 years best. But here's the deal. Time starts to go forward. So 2007, they are the same year. 2008, they're like, yeah, this is a lol. So they increased it to 2 years. Okay, 2 years passes, they increased it to 2 years. So 2018 or 2009 happened. 2010, they're like, yeah, the deadline is coming close. Let's move it again. So 2019, in 2010, they updated the deadline to 2019. And 2011 goes, 2012 happens, they're like, okay, let's push the deadline again. So deadline now has been pushed to 2020. And 2012 happens, 2020, 2013, still 2020, 2014, yeah, deadline is coming close, man, come on. So now we pushed it to 2023. That also has passed, and this time the budget has crossed around 13 billion euro. This puppy is far more expensive than a Nimitz class aircraft carrier. Like, this puppy is beyond expensive at this point, and that is 2014 only. So in 2015, the timeline has been upgraded again from 2023 to 2025, and money now upgrades again in 2016. It's now 20 billion euro, and this puppy is 2025. Okay, so 2025 is like very, very close. It remains for a few years, then people are like, whoa, 2025, we said it is actually coming, so what the hell are we gonna do? So in 2023, pardon me, 2024, 4 July, they did a new announcement. Now they have pushed it to 2034. They were like, whoa, they are actually coming close where they may have to say that they are behind. So they're like, let's push it. So it's almost bigger push than 2020 to 2023. So generally they only push 1 year per year. Now they have pushed like, bam, it's never gonna happen. 2034, that's the first plasma. Yeah, so lol. It's supposed to be a 10-year project, man. Supposed to be a 10-year project. Now again, 10-year project going to 11, 15, cool. 20, 30 is like, bro. And cost overrun has become stupid at this point in time. Like, it's raw stupid. Oh, by the way, it has 5 billion euro extra added to it. So at this point, we are not even talking about the money. It's stupid. So that happened. That is the biggest news as of now. So what was the aim of this, that we are burning this kind of money? Well, this is where you're gonna be shocked that this is not supposed to be a power plant nor a reactor. It's just a test bed. It's a power plant test bed. What does that mean? That simply means it's a demo for fusion part. Meaning, for a power plant, the reactor has to produce power. The power has to be converted into useful power, basically a heat energy converted into steam power. That steam has to be converted to electrical power through steam turbines and generators, and then has to fed back into the system. Now this is common. Every power plant does that. For example, when you're talking about a coal power plant, so when you burn the coal, you take all the water cycle and all that, and then you have electrical energy. That electrical energy back feeds into the power plant itself, specifically pressurized pumped, basically feed water pumps. So you take the feed water, you pressurize the hell out of it. That's how you get the PSI needed in order to spin the turbine efficiently. So they upgrade the basically room 15 psi to whatever they need to. So that bonkersly high psi, that happens through feed water pump. That consumes a lot of power. That's why you say, no, you cannot just start a coal power plant. That's the problem with that. They consume a lot of megawatt just to start. So you need a small power plant that can do black start, then that will feed the big power plant will start, then they can start the grid. So that same thing happens with fusion also, meaning when you have fusion, you have to have the plasma. Plasma is creating heat. Majority of that energy would be wasted, right? That you have that heat, it wasted. Majority of it is just flat out wasted when you're going from steam to actual electrical energy. So that directly defines how much you need. After that, you have to backfeed everything to like the magnetometers, the gyrotrons, that is heating up the plasma, the vacuum pumps, all that jazz. Like you have to provide energy for all of that. So the vector you need, basically how much energy I put in, how much energy I get out, and after that you have to sell the energy also. So practically speaking, bare minimum is 200x, meaning I dump 1 unit of energy, at least 200 units of energy, heat has to come out of it, otherwise it's useless. You simply will never be able to run at the power plant. And again, you cannot run a power plant. It's like, why you're consuming 1 gigawatt of energy? Yeah, to start the reactor. Okay, cool. How much energy you're gonna sell after you have started the reactor? Yeah, like 100 watts. There's no point, right? So same thing happens here. You need that Q factor to be ludicrously high, 200, 300, something like that. This plan was just to show that it exceeds 1. That's why I say it's not a power plant. It's not even a reactor. It's just a test bed of plasma that this is supposed to work. And again, that's why the timeline was only 10 years. It's like, again, it's a plasma test bed. It's like how long it could take. The China poured money into it, EU, India, Japan, Korea, Russia, USA. That was the whole point. It's just a plasma reactor. It's not supposed to be full power plant, and it's still not there. Do not think about, oh, they increased the scope. No. It's still the same thing. And that's why the delay is like so hilarious now. So the idea was, okay, what do you gain? Like, what does all these countries that are pouring money like there is no tomorrow, what do they gain? Well, after the plasma actually works, like they would have required a lot of figuring out, as like how the heck gyrotron dumps energy into it, how the turbopumps works and all that, like the actual working of it. That data would be priceless. That data would be shared amongst all these countries. That data will, from the country government, will go to commercial sector. They're supposed to make the actual power plant. That was the plan that was sold in 2006 for that kind of budget. And we are all paying for it. Basically, we are paying ludicrously large amount of tax just for a lab test, which is beyond schedule and bonkersly expensive. And the likelihood of it actually being done in 2034 is lol. So, yeah. And these things are huge, like this, huge. That's a dude. That's a huge thing. So it's huge. That was the aim. Let that be very clear. Do not think like, would it have a steam system? Absolutely. The idea is that they're going to figure it out, like how long the pipes last and all that. What do you need? What sort of pressure? What sort of conversion efficiency? How thick that? So those, is this experimental reactor? But it's not this would have been considered successful if it was like, okay, we have the plasma. The plasma is like, we are sending 1 gigawatt of energy into it. And the plasma is like dumping 2 gigawatts of heat output. We good. It's like, how would you convert it? I don't care. That's not the problem. That was never the intent. The intent was, we're going to figure these things out and then we're going to sell it to commercial people. Not even sell, like just give it, like it's prepayment on prepayment on the technology, and then they're going to develop it. Yeah, that did not happen. 2016, that was the time. So let's do some reality check. Now here's the, a nuclear power plant is what we classify as a decadal project, meaning it will take a decade or maybe even longer than that, bare minimum. Heck, even a coal power plant will take at best, like German efficiency, it will still take freaking 4 to 7 years. So nuclear power plant with nuclear regulations, yeah, that's 10 years. So anybody is saying anything that 10 years from now we're going to have that, yeah, take a slipper and bitch slap them. Because that's not happening. Like law of physics does not allow that. Laws of modern earth does not allow that. And that's assuming on known technology. Anything that is unknown, which again, this is an unknown technology, yeah, it's not happening. So any timeline that is like few years from now, that's lol. It has to be 20 or 50 years from now. Nothing closer than that. So that's just on the mathematics point of it. Like after you have the technology, it still takes that much time. Now, why it's so expensive? Well, nuclear talent is not cheap. The people who know nuclear physics, you have to understand, normal people do not understand periodic table. They cannot memorize it. It's complex, it's heavy. Periodic table is a basic, easy table compared to isotope table. Google isotope table. Those puppies are bonkersly complex, where you have every element and its daughter products and all that, and its precursor products. And again, a nuclear scientist has to understand, otherwise they will not understand, hey, I put uranium here, where the heck xenon came from? You have to understand. They have to understand the whole period, the whole decay chain, daughter products and all that jazz. So the people who can do that, they're expensive. They are scientist grade, like they are not basic coal power plant worker. They are like trained high end employees, so to say. So expensive. So, and again, they will charge directly proportional to your inflation rate. So the salary goes up. It's not like a solar power plant where it's like in the early days we had people who was sweeping it. Now we have robots that is sweeping it, and all you have is like few workers for the substation. Which again, compare this to a nuclear power plant. Again, you still have a substation. You will need workers there also, although their salary would be much higher because again, radiation hazard pay you have to do. So nuclear talent is expensive. On top of that, radiation mitigation is not cheap, nor it will ever be cheap, because radiation is on a whole different level. For example, many times people will trick you by selling, oh, like we used to have like, you know, those problematic waste, nuclear waste that would last for millions of years. That's true. Now we have a new technology that will only last for 1,000 years. Yes, deal does not make a difference. It will still cost the same or more. It's like, why? Ask any hospital that does deal with radiation. It's ludicrously difficult. Alpha, beta, gamma is minor inconvenience. Then you have the daddy radiation, which we call neutron. Neutron is so bad that it can make other things radioactive. Like what other things? Like if you have watched the Chernobyl TV show, how the heck you think the graphite became radioactive? It was inside the reactor. What was inside the reactor? What was the emitter there? Neutrons. What happened with a neutron? Neutron went inside carbon and pumped the carbon up. So carbon went from a stable state to unstable state or hot state. Basically started to become radioactive. And again, same thing happens with water. On planet Earth, you want to store something that can give off neutron. Yeah, you have to make sure the water is very well maintained around it, because here's it will take the water, put neutron into the hydrogen. One hydrogen is like deuterium. It's like, yeah, who cares? Not a big issue. Put one tritium. Now it's a radioactive puppy. Gets inside the human body, it's lethal. So radiation mitigation is fundamentally expensive. It will never ever become cheap. It's like, it's not technology, it's not silicon, it's not smartphone. It was expensive, it is expensive, it will get even more expensive, because again, the better sensitive equipment we have, the more tolerance our goes down. It's like, wait a minute, I can detect background radiation elevation now. So yeah, it's expensive. Those things will never ever come down, and it will always keep growing, because again, they are directly inflation independent. It's not like you cannot robotize this. So it will never be as cheap as renewable power plant, never as cheap as solar, never as cheap as wind. And be mindful, solar has already crossed coal power plants in places that are closer to equator, and it will slowly over time over to the closer to north poles. And again, on those areas, wind has crossed that threshold. So that's the first point. Another ask. Nobody understands this technology. It's not a solved technology. Like, this is one point, very critical. Theory will only take you so far. We had the theory of nuclear plasma fusion from 1960s, 70s. We figured it out. We had it. Like the actual tokamaks, they are also not new. We have been building this. Like surprisingly early days, like after just after World War II, we started to build this. Like that's how early it was. So on paper, we understand it, right? Like, okay, we're gonna have the plasma, we're gonna heat it up, we figured out gyrotrons, so we can dump that amount of megawatts of energy into using microwave into the plasma. We can isolate the plasma, so we can heat it up. It does not work. Why? It's not hot enough. Why it's not hot enough? Nobody knows. Like, I'm not even joking, only 10-15 years ago, we figured out, okay, because it's a donut shape, it's actually dumping basically it's dumping energy in sort of photons. Like how you have, if you force bend a high energy particle, it dumps X-ray. Same thing was happening. And I'm like actually shocked that it is a recent discovery. Like the paper about it is done recently. Like I thought we should have known this from 1970s. No, we did not. And then again, it's like, oh, the orbitals are different. And again, they thought like every ion, basically the plasma soup, is rotating clockwise. Yeah, some of them is rotating counterclockwise. It's unknown. We do not know. Like any atomic energy system, like we know how this works. No, we do not. If we knew, it would work. I can tell you how a combustion engine works. There are people who build combustion engine. There are school projects where people just build combustion engine. It works. It's a known system. Fusion, we have been achieving fusion. The Guinness Book of World Record is 14-year-old boy who can achieve fusion. It's child's play. We have been achieving this puppy from 1970s. The issue is we do not know how to do break even, and we need 200x factor of that. Ain't nobody got there. Like nobody knows. Like let that be. Nobody knows. Like, okay, why plasma is not hot enough? We do not know. We are dumping the energy. It's just not getting hot. We are dumping bonkers amount of it. It's losing the energy some way that we cannot detect. That's why. So any atomic energy tells you, like, oh, we know the technology. We do not know. If we knew, we would have a working reactor. We do not. So, and another aspect is lack of consensus among all the stakeholders. That's very scary. Like this is a paper from USA, where it's like DOE, fusion energy strategy supporting the US bold decadal vision. I was like, damn. And in their system. By 2030, they're going to have fusion pilot plant. Yeah, that assumes in next 6 years, fusion is figured out, and all the sub-circuitry, which again I will talk about that, all the subsystems, all the auxiliary system, all of it is figured out, and they start the building the project. Then maybe they can start physical plant by 2030, then they will be finished by 2040. That's the best case scenario. That's not happening. So yeah, this is a lull. And again, this is a German system, which is a bit more realistic, where it's like, it would, at best, this is technology readiness level 3, which again, I'm being too optimistic. You haven't achieved continuous fusion. Like plasma temperatures has been talked about right now, which means we are useless. If somebody talks about like, okay, what's the break-even factor? It's like, yeah, this is finally reaching 2x. Oh, we are finally cracking 20x. Okay, yeah, we are finally cracking 150x. That's what you want. If somebody's talking about like, yeah, the reactor is on for 8 minutes. Not joking, this as actual benchmark right now, 8 minutes. So flat out, there is no consensus. One country is saying this is BS. Another country is saying, oh, we have it. We just have it, man. We just like wait 5 minutes. Canada is like, bro, we got it, bro. We got it, bro. We good, bro. So this is very dangerous. At this point in time, global warming has higher consensus. Like you can talk to scientists in Germany, talk to scientists in Europe, other places in Europe, basically Poland and all that. They will tell you the same thing. You ask China, they will also talk in India. They will tell you the same. Only their prediction accuracy would be a bit sloppy. Again, unless we have a time machine, we cannot validate it. So they will like, we have 15 years left. Some will say, yeah, we have 17. Some will say 20. We have a bit more optimistic timeline. You get the point. But all the directions are same. Right now in fusion, everybody is going lol. Nobody has any concession with anybody else. So this is a very serious system. And again, inherently, we are reaching a point. Theory and experiments are not matching up. For example, this is the pellet boom device. So you put a fusion fuel here and you laser pump it. You got So on paper, we did all the best mathematician, the best technology, money is no object, go YOLO on it, pump enough energy into it to make it fuse. We did that. All the calculations are like, we're going to have this, we're going to have a compression. The compressor is going to be very symmetric, which has to be, and then it goes boom. This is the femtosecond photography of that. If you are not seeing it clearly, do not worry about it. It's not symmetrical. They work their ass off. They are still not symmetrical. The chaos vector here is too goddamn high. Like it's a chaotic system. Fundamentally, it's a chaotic system. We do not know why it's not that working. Again, we have been trying this from 80s. It's like, yeah, no, we do not know. Like, this is one thing you have to understand. We do not know fusion. The only way we can achieve fusion is having a fission turbocharging it. And the only thing we know in that interaction, it has enough oomph that it surpasses all the problem. That's the only thing we know. Other than that, nothing else. No tokamak, no stellator, no inertial confinement, nothing. None of that. We do not know. If anybody is talking like, we're going to achieve fusion, they are smoking. If they're like, we have break even and it's not in 400x or 500x, run away. So that's the whole point. On theory, everything should work. It just does not work. Chaos factor is too goddamn high. So reality, this is real. So any Tom Dick, oh, 2030, we're going to have a plant. It's like, lol. At best, assuming in next 6 years, all the technology breakthrough happens, maybe. Would I bet on it? Absolutely. You're going to lose. So this is the reality of it. Now let's come to the facts. That's the reality. Let's come to the facts. It will never be cheap. Why? There is a law of physics known as mega electron volt. What does that mean? That simply means fusion is very expensive. Why? Fission. Very expensive. Why? It has 2 mega electron volt neutron, which is bad. Again, I told you about like it makes water radioactive, it makes carbon radioactive, it requires ludicrously thick amount of concrete in order to just hope, and hope over time it does not become radioactive, which again it does. If you are running it for long enough, like 1 century or 2 century, even that will start to change. So that's why I said like people who know nuclear physics on a different level, because they understand not periodic table, the isotope tables. They're like, okay, we have silica in this, we have lead in this. What's the lead upgrading layer? Okay, we have few steps layer. Nitrogen, what is there? Copper, yeah, that's not good. Nickel, really not good. So you have to figure out all the element chain that is being exposed to neutron. That's bad. Now here's the deal. If neutron is that bad, how the heck we have fusion from so long? Fission. One lucky thing fission reactors have is that they have coolant. All fission plants have coolant, some drop of coolant. What does that mean? That simply means there is water. What does water have? It tames the freaking neutron. Majority of reactor, water is like, brah, chill. Neutron is like, whoa. Water is like, chill. Now what about sodium? Again, sodium does the same thing. Not to the same extent, but it does the same thing. It scatters it, slows it down. Now again, it does not go from like super fast neutron to slow neutron. It's still fast breeder reactor, but still tames it. That's why that coolant is the primary reason why things do not decay and fall apart. That coolant loop is the primary reason we can do that. Now, don't we have coolant loop here? No, we have a vacuum here. That's the problem. You have plasma. GG, awesome plasma. You're like, and you're heating it up. Awesome. It's giving neutron. Awesome. Here's it's giving neutron to something without any buffer. Plasma, your tiles, neutron. There is nothing. There is no water. There is no sodium. There is nothing here. So this is what happens to purest grade tungsten. Get destroyed on a molecular level or neutron flux. This is few hours of it, by the way. Yeah. And if you have to pay attention, like they are building string robots, basically robots that are driven by cables. Why cables? This reactor vessel will become idiotically radioactive, not even fission level radioactive. This will be brutally radioactive. So will you have no radiation? Yeah, you have radiation. Not only you have radioactive water, you also have radioactive reactor vessel, which again you have to dispose very carefully. So no electronics will survive inside that. Like when it's off, nothing will survive. So they have to make a whole robot that can has all the dexterity while using cables. So pulling cable, that's why. And why they have to remove the tiles? The best theoretical model they have is like the tiles could last 2 years. Not even joking. That's why I said that this is the reason. 14 is much bigger than 2. And to give you a context how severe this problem is, there's supposed to be a Japanese high energy particle energy basically a linear accelerator, because ASD 14 mega electron volt, you don't have anything open 14 mega electron volt. That does not happen. So how the heck you get that particle accelerator? So particle mega accelerator should give you this sort of oomph, and then you can put a material sample and bombard it long enough, not just like 8 minutes of bombardment, 10 minutes of no, long enough. What happens then? Yeah, that project is behind schedule. So because there is vacuum, raw vacuum, and there is no element known to man that can handle this sort of mega electron volt for long. Like, can it handle it? Absolutely. Anything can handle it. Put a glass there, it will handle it. But over time, you'll find, hey, the glass supposed to be transparent, it became opaque. Or a mirror that was like mirror became completely blackened. On a molecular level, things change if you have this sort of oomph going through it. So, and now people have some other design ways, like what if we have things flowing there? It's like, yeah, on a vacuum, you're going to have a liquid flowing through. Yeah, your plasma is never going to reach heat hot enough if you do that. So fundamentally, the vacuum and the fact that this level, 14 mega electron volt neutron, is going to go through things. Yeah. And be mindful, this wall not only has to be like, just a wall, it has to handle pressure, vacuum pressure of one side, as in 0, and the other side of high pressure water. So not only it has like, differential is like, 15 psi to 0 psi. No. Differential is 0 psi to whatever the psi of the water system is, which could be 200 or even higher. Actually, it's much higher than that, but you get the point. It has to handle that. So it's not only it has to be radiation hardened, it also has to be physically strong, which again, neutron is like, bro, I'm going to go through you. I'm going to eat you from inside. So fundamentally, that's why it does not work economically. Let me be clear. Nothing in physics says you cannot build this. Everything in economics says if you build this, you will go bankrupt. Fundamentally. Again, water tames it. Graphite tames it. There is nothing to tame here. So no man-made element will survive for long. Let that be very clear. Element is wrong word to say. Alloy that we need. Again, there are certain alloys that can they have 5-6 stages of what we call daughter products where they are still safe, cool enough, so to say, but they do not work the way you want. Like a conductor, you need a conductor for conducting things. It's a conductor. And again, this is another aspect, is like the superconductors, they actually have to be much further away rather than being close, because if they're close, they get fried by neutron. They have to be far away. So now you have ludicrously larger magnetic field compared to what you actually need. So yeah, that's why these things are big. Even though the actual reaction volume is very small, you have to be very far away so neutron can be tamed, and then hopefully you put a superconducting cryogenic superconductor, which will not decay very quickly once you actually have a reactor running, pumping this puppy for 24/7. Yeah. So now let me be very clear. We need two things: cheap and abundant. We need bonkers amount of energy and we need it cheap. Yeah, you're not going to get cheap out of this. At best, abundant, which again, good luck with that, because again, the reactor size will become exponentially larger if you are like, what if we need, let's say, average 3 gigawatt of, nuclear power? Yeah, it's going to be huge, humongous. And you're like, what if we are stellar later? Yeah, same problem, same neutron problem. So we have cheap and, abundant renewable energy as of now. Not 10 years from now, not 500 years from now. At this point in time, many countries, India, China, America, states, districts, they have reached a point where There are moments where they are like fully running on renewables. There are half of a European country, they actually regularly now reach a point where they are running on completely renewables. California, again, the duck curve, they are literally turning off the whole power grid because they have so much generation. That's again, you may be like, okay, that's bad system, right? That requires a power curtailment. That means we have solved the abundant part. If we can store it, that will solve all other part. And what about energy storage? Is it theoretically possible? Is it physically there? Yeah, it's Israel's very smart people, very capable guy. It's like closed loop pumped hydro, take it and go. We have been building this from 1970, we know. This is another Indian project that is in collaboration with E2S. They are converting old coal power plant into a battery, which again, inefficient. It wastes 70% of energy, but again, abundant, super cheap, abundant power. You're going to take it and delay, like, extend the solar, especially in the evening. So that duck curve, the head is chopped. So both of these are real here, take it and go, compared to this where we do not even know how the heck we're going to have a tile that does not self-destruct. And yeah, that much waste production. Yeah, it's like, we're going to just like, so these are the fact. 2 is smaller than 14 and 2 tamed by coolants is much smaller compared to 14. So that's very clear. This is factual. So this comes down to the whole point. It's a gamble technology, right? It's a gamble. It's a high risk, high reward scenario, which again, at this point in time, there is not high reward. It's not like a magical, oh, okay, now we have a battery that works for 24 into 7 into 365. It's not beta voltaic. It's not a high return reward. At this point in time, it's clear. Like, it's done, sorted, we tried it. It's not gonna be cheap. And again, we need cheap and abundant. So in your eyes, question is, how urgent is energy transition in your eyes? Like, do you want your country to transition? Like, I want India to transition. For global warming, yeah, that's a, chocolate milk sign. Yeah, I can tell you that. That's chocolate part. What is the milk part? I want my country to be goddamn independent. It's like, isn't India independent? Not really. Because again, we have to go to OPEC. Even if we can transition all vehicles to electric system, we're going to buy a lot of gas, natural gas, to run the system. Again, you need energy independence in order to truly be independent. So I need in India to go transition. And again, it has another benefits also. If coal prices goes up, which has been going up in India, electricity prices go up, which is my electricity bill is going up in price, which should not have happened, but it did. So there is fundamental reasons why we do want energy transition. Remove the global warming part. That's an extra bonus. That's how I'm selling it. It's like, oh, do this. What about global warming? Don't worry about that. Don't think about it. You don't think about it. Don't worry about it. Think about the financial gain that you will have. Like one of my neighbor just did completely 22 kilowatt of solar farm. Why? He's like fed up with the electricity price. It's like, just give it. So fundamentally, once money is wasted on this sort of projects, it becomes inflation. That's the problematic part of it. Like my channel is old at this point in time. 5-6 years ago, I was screaming about Hyperloop scam, and people were laughing at me. And again, I was just not alone. Many people were doing, and government poured money into it like there was no tomorrow. Now again, Saudis can dump money into it without any issue because they have oil money. We do not have that, but we dumped money into it. What happened to that debt? It became inflation. Like, this is a very good example of it. Like in 1970, $0.25 or like 25 cents can give you 1 cup of coffee. Cool. In 2024, you have to pay $3, exponentially more. And again, that same thing happened in India also. Like, I was a kid, I like paneer. Paneer is like very, my personal favorite. That was like 22 rupees. I was like, whoa, 22 rupees, like, damn. It's 150 right now, same packet, same brand. And I'm not even 60-70 years old, man. So fundamentally, if government keeps burning money on weird things like coal, rather than directly having coal power plants converted into energy storage, so we have grid inertia and energy storage for the off-grid, off-peak solar power, it's painful for us. It's our cost of living goes up. This is housing price went up. Food and beverage price went up. Child care, nobody's having children, it's that expensive. Medical and healthcare, hope for quick death, do not wish for a hospital, because again, you will wish for death. That's how expensive it is. College textbooks, yellow, that's all. So fundamentally, we cannot waste money. We cannot afford to waste money. There is a penalty for that. And law of physics is very clear on fusion. Like, that's why I'm saying, like, a mega electron volt, focus on that part. Do not focus on anything else. Just focus on that mega electron volt part. It will never be cheap, nor it will be quick. And again, it still makes the waste. The tiles are now radioactive. You have to worry about it. So, and again, didn't you remember, like 2 years ago, in 2024, we're going to have this hyperion helium-3 fusion reactor? That did not happen. Again, everyday electronics? No. Some very successful YouTuber, I forgot about name. It's like that happened. Again, it will never happen. I'm old enough. Then why the heck private companies are doing it? There are two reasons for that. Some actually believe they figured it out. Again, fair enough. You try it. Another is the most sinister part of it. It's a pump and dump scheme. Meaning venture capitalists buy, can they sell this technology well enough? I think they can sell it. They do not care. They're just like, okay, we'll buy you. Here's the money. Sell it more. Stock goes up. They sell it. They pump and dump. It's not going to happen. It's like, that's why I do not just, it's a private, so it means it will work. No. Proven technology. What does that mean? That simply means if I go to 2010, India had solar capacity of 0.2. Very little. Then we slowly started to grow 6 by 2016. This is by 2022. This is 54 gigawatt. It's bonkersly large amount of energy. And this is from Ministry of Power, Government of India, March 2022. I could not find the 2024 data sheet. But again, I'm pretty sure it has already crossed 60. So you can see this is India's growth. I'm not talking about anything else, just India. Bonkers amount of solar growth. At current rate, only in few years, we can reach a point where we'll have 100% energy from solar. Can we do that right now? Almost. But why don't we? Energy storage part is missing. It's like we have the point where it's like oomph is there. It's just that energy storage has to be solved. So I'm old enough where we saw if by 2005 it was like solar and wind and cool and all, but it cannot provide enough energy to it is providing, but we do not have energy storage. Now we are solving that part, step by step, brick by brick. We had this problem. Okay, now we have the source part sorted. Now we have to figure out the storage part. Then another problem will be there. How the heck you transmit that much energy from A to B? This is India. This is HVDC link. Very easy to find out. If you have only binary cables going for 1 and 2, that's generally a DC cable line. If you have 3, then it's generally AC 3-phase. A lot of it's there. I actually physically visited one of them in Kanpur. So I know for a fact that India is making good progress. Solar progress is awesome. Grid progress is there. A lot of progress is being made in energy storage. So over time, that will be sorted. And again, this is a good problem to have. We have so much energy. How the heck we store it? That's a good problem to have. That means the abundance part is sorted. And in terms of solar is just warming up because this is the future of solar. Triple junction solar array. Right now we have solar that is comparable to the first layer only, silicon. That is blue only. But we want a solar system that can absorb all of it. This is triple junction. Is it a real technology? Yes, it's a real. You can buy it if you are bonkersly rich, and it is already used in satellites because they are very powerful. How powerful? Some of these puppy can touch 51% conversion efficiency. Now, how big is that? Normal panels are 22. More than enough scope. It exists. That's not the problem. Right now, we are figuring out how to make it cheap. So let that be clear. Technology readiness level is much higher. Again, right now you can buy it. You can pick up a phone. There are companies that specialize into that. They can be, give you a system. That's not an issue. The only issue is we haven't figured out how to mass produce it. We are working on it. Again, there is enough demand now. There is enough. Not just research. People want it. Imagine this technology deployed being currently existing solar farm. No more new land. Double the output. So flat out, more than enough oomph is still there. And again, inflation has to be tamed. If it keeps going up this quickly, this brutally, bad things gonna happen. So fundamentally, that's up to you. I'm not in the favor of a fusion gamble because again, at this point in time, I lost most of my hair. I've been watching it from Discovery Channel. It's like, what are we gonna do? It's like, yeah, once I understood neutron problem, it's like, yeah, it's not happening anytime soon. And even if it happens in 50, 60, or maybe 100 years from now, 200 years from now, it will be a good space technology. Best case scenario. That is yeah, we need ludicrously high energy density system. Yeah, go for that. It won't be cheap. It won't be because again, we have competition right now. We have solar, we have wind, we have other technologies that are being developed that will be cheaper. So fundamentally, this gamble is looking more like a losing scenario rather than a winning probability. So this was my presentation on Fusion News 2024. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show my extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free. And as always, thanks for watching.